top 5 classes that Evil Dead the game needs. Now, when I say classes, I'm not talking about specific characters. So I'm not, I don't want to see any like comments like, oh, they should add Ruby, they should add Chet, whoever. It's not about specific characters. It's about like an actual type of character, because you'll notice that a lot of these characters fit a certain archetype. So to get started, to give an example, you look at supports. It's clear what role all 3 of these characters fulfill. Ash here is a combat healer and also specializes in boosting your team's range damage. Cheryl is an AoE healer, pretty much just a pure AoE healer. And then Pablo specializes in beefing up your team's shields via amulets. So out of those 3, what's like the type of character that's missing? I think I'd really like to see a single target healer. So somebody that specializes in having an ability that lets them, focus on one character and then press a button and gives them a bigger heal than what Cheryl provides, but only to one person. That's the main thing that I think I'd like to see, is a single target healer. Let me know who you think that should be, if there's a character in the Evil Dead universe that would fit the role of a single target healer. As far as leaders go, I'd like to see a support leader. So if we look at the leaders here, we have Ash here, who's kind of a general damage and fear resistance leader. Annie is obviously a ranged leader, and then Arthur is a melee leader. So we have a guy who's kind of like, does a little bit of everything. Somebody who's specialized in range, specialized in melee. So what's missing? Well, she supports them, or she supports them, he supports them. There's nobody to support our supports. So I'd like to see a support leader who basically gives a buff to the healing that your supports provide. So like when you're within range of your support leader and you use a Shemps, it's going to heal for more. If you're within range of your support leader and you use an amulet, it's going to give you more shields. That's what I'd like to see as far as a support leader. I'd like to see a high attack speed warrior. If you look at this, you kind of have Ash here, who specializes in freaking everything. He does a little bit of AoE damage. He's got survivability. He really, really wants to use finishers as much as possible. You've got Scotty here, who specializes in AoE damage. That's all he's about, is heavy attacks and AoE damage. And then you have Henry the Red here, who's basically a pure tank. He's about soaking up as much damage as possible and also not taking any damage. So the person that I think is missing would be somebody who specializes in high attack speed. So somebody who just isn't really about like one big swing, but just multiple tiny swings. Because I don't see enough use of the smaller high attack speed weapons. Like the cleaver sucks, the meat hammer sucks. You don't really see anyone who's like, oh man, make sure they get that weapon. Like the closest I think we've gotten to that is making sure the hunting knife gets into Evil Dead 1 Ash's hands. But outside of that, the smaller, faster weapons pretty much suck. So I'd like to see a melee class, a warrior class that specializes in fast attacks. Also, you could give him the mine placement ability. I don't know if anyone's ever seen that, but it was data mined in the files that there was a animation for placing a mine on the ground. So that'd be really cool to see that as well. The last 2 are kind of a little weirder, a little more off the wall, but just stuff that I thought about that'd be really cool. The 4th one is somebody who can craft weapons. Now, if you didn't hear about this, in the original incarnation of Evil Dead the game, or the early build, the idea was to have a crafting system in this game. So it sounded like maybe the idea was you would start out with a white weapon and you'd gather materials and then craft your way up through rarities throughout the match. That's what it seems like the original plan was, before that was scrapped at some point during development. So I'd like to see that get brought back in the form of an ability for a character. I said about the first class that I mentioned, the single target healer, that, hey, who do you think would be perfect for this? Obviously, I think the clear favorite to play a character like this would be the blacksmith from Army of Darkness, who would work perfectly for this. But I'd love to see a weapon crafter who can have like a menu that lets them choose what they want to craft, so that if there is a specific character on your team that wants a specific weapon, you can get it to them. Now obviously you'd need to have some balancing there, so they can't just craft like a legendary axe and give it to Scotty and then you just dominate every game as long as you reach the end. But I'd like to see a system where you can give Scotty a white axe, and then maybe you can take like a blue weapon you don't want and scrap it, and then use those scraps to upgrade Scotty's white axe into a blue axe, and so on and so forth. And it'd be fairly limited to where you'd need to pick and choose which characters get those upgrades, so you can't just deck out your whole team in purple and legendary items. But I'd like to see somebody who could do that and provide people with the weapons they want, so that, you know, you have a character that allows people to play the game kind of the way they want to play it each round, if they choose to want to play it that way. The fifth and final thing I think I'd like to see is a low damage, high ammo count hunter. And my kind of weird, wacky idea for that is having a unique weapon that's special to them and takes unique ammo. So I was thinking like maybe what you could do is have a system where they have their own special weapon that they can't drop, but it does a certain amount of, you know, damage or whatever, and then any ammo type they pick up is automatically like converted into that ammo type. So we'll say it will pool together, like if you pick up long ammo or special weapon ammo or handgun ammo, it pools all those together and makes them into that one ammo type that's special to their weapon. And then you can still drop that ammo type individually as the ammo type that it is, so you can help out other hunters. But I just want to see somebody who's more about low damage, high ammo count. We saw another data mine thing where it was like somebody had a minigun was leaked, and it's like, how could something like that work? I think this is how it could work, is having a character that does a little tiny bit of damage but has a ton of ammo, because they can pool together all of their ammo. That's kind of similar to what Amanda does, but right now I feel like all the hunters kind of specialize in doing one shot that does a ton of damage, especially because of the last word perk. So I'd love to see somebody who could do a ton of damage, or do very little damage with a high ammo count, and even possibly their own unique weapon would be really cool. So hey, let me know what you think. Those are the 5 classes I'd like to see most, which is a single target healer, a support leader, a high attack speed warrior, a weapons crafter, and a low damage, high ammo count hunter. The weapons crafter would also probably be support, by the way. So let me know what you think, and let me know if you think those ideas are any good. If you have any ideas yourself about classes you'd like to see in this game, go ahead and comment and let me know. And as always, hey, don't forget to subscribe, and I hope you enjoyed the video.